Hey folks, Dr. Joe Esposito here. Glad you could be with us today. We're going to talk today about nutritional deficiencies, common nutritional deficiencies. Now, patients come to me all the time and they say, Dr. Joe, how do I know I'm deficient in something? Now, there are certain things that most people are deficient in. We can pretty much across the board say you probably need to increase your magnesium level, you need to increase your vitamin D level or your omega-3 fatty acid levels because we know based on your lifestyle, most people's lifestyle, we know if you're getting it or not. And omega-3s, for example, are essential fatty acids. We have to get them from an outside source. So if you're not getting it from an outside source, that's an issue. And so we talk about that. In our offices, we do something called a micronutrient test. And a micronutrient test is we can actually test a blood work and try to find out what specific nutrients you might be lacking. So that's a way to do it as well. It's very good. I enjoy getting my micronutrient test done. I do it about once a year just to make sure I'm okay. 1 year I did a hair analysis and a micronutrient test, and I found that I was selenium deficient. Not much, just a little, but I was just starting to go gray. I was just starting to go gray-haired. So I upped my selenium supplementation, and all my gray hair went away. Now, not saying it's going to work for you because everybody's different, but in my case, it was selenium. Now, you don't want to do too much selenium either. You got to make sure you hit that what we call the Goldilocks zone, the right amount of what you need. So let's talk about nutritional deficiencies, what they are, what they look like, what we need to do to fix them. It's so easy. It's so quick. It's so inexpensive. This is what should be taught day one of every healthcare provider's education. Medical, chiropractic, whatever you are, psychiatrist, psychologist, whatever healthcare provider you are, this is the stuff you need to know. Because no matter how good a surgeon you are, no matter how good a chiropractor you are, no matter how good a physical therapist or a mental therapist you are, if the body's lacking in nutrients, it's not going to get all the benefits or the best effects that your services can provide. It's just that simple. It's not hard to figure this one out. So nutritional deficiency is very common. Even people that think they're eating right. In the United States, 31% of the U.S. population was found to be at risk of at least one vitamin deficiency or anemia, increasing the risk of health problems over a lifetime. Again, that's a general scan. I think if we dug a little deeper, like we did something like a micronutrient test, we'd find a lot more. Your body depends on these nutrients to grow, to develop. Mental health and deficiencies in certain nutrients can impact your immunity, your vision, your wound healing, your bone health. Neurological damage can happen if somebody doesn't have enough vitamin B12. Now, as a chiropractor and a pain management specialist, we see a lot of neurological issues. So we do a nutrition workup on every patient that walks through the door. We do a workup, and then we recommend supplements if necessary. Rarely does somebody not get recommended supplements. I'll be honest with you, because most of us need them. I take them every day, and I eat really good. And so many times people come in, and we do chiropractic, and we do nutrition. We fix their digestive system, and they say, well, Doc, I've been to chiropractors before, but I never saw the results like this. Well, I've been to nutritionists before, but I've never seen the results like this. You got to put it all together as a package, I feel. Chiropractic, nutrition, and digestion. Those are the three things that really help the body obtain and maintain the best possible health. You know, if you have vitamin A deficiency, it could cause night blindness. Well, I went to my eye doctor. They changed my prescription. I can't figure out why my vision is getting worse. I'm just getting older. Maybe it's cataracts. Maybe it's glaucoma. How about we look at your diet? You eat absolutely no fruits and vegetables. You're not getting any vitamin A. No wonder you're going night blind. Not hard to figure out. Estimated 1 in 3 Americans are deficient in at least 10 minerals. That was vitamins. Vitamins and minerals are different things. And that puts them on a high risk of chronic disease such as heart disease and diabetes. Even a subclinical level, meaning you don't have any symptoms. If you're on a subclinical level, it can cause things like fatigue, irritability, acne, aches and pains, decreased hormone function, decreased immune function, heart palpitations. If I was going to grow a tomato plant, and I do, by the way, I like gardening, I know that I have to put certain nutrients in the soil to make sure I'm going to get a really high-quality plant. You know that. If you're going to plant something, people, I don't have a green thumb. Well, everybody has a green thumb if you just take care of the plant the right way. We don't think about that with our own bodies. Dr. Joe, I eat alcohol, meat, sugar, dairy, coffee, soda, artificial sweetener, breads, cookies, cakes, donuts, pastas all day, every day. And I can't figure out why I have headaches, why I have horrible gas, why I have a loss of vision, why I look old. I was at a live event the other day with my friend Belinda Skelton. She asked me to be a guest on a live broadcast we did. And one of the guys who works there at the station, I hadn't seen him in a while, he came up to me. He says, damn, Dr. Joe, every time I see you, you look younger. What are you doing? And I told him, I said, man, I'm over 60. He said, you are not. I said, yeah, I really am. And he said, I don't know what you're doing, doc, but every time I see you, you look younger and younger. So there's a secret here. It's not a secret. I'm telling you what the secret is. You just got to take care of yourself. I don't have any special genes. I don't have people in my family that have lived, into their hundreds. No. You just got to take care of yourself. And so you're no different than everybody else. And if you do have these nutritional deficiencies, chances are they're going to show up. So beware of these nutritional deficiencies and some simple things you can do. The most common nutritional deficiencies. We'll start with my favorite. What do you think it is? Vitamin D. An estimated 40% of Europeans are deficient in vitamin D. 13% are severely deficient. That's Europeans. Of older Americans, it's estimated that up to 100% may be deficient. Now, a lot of that has to do is because we're not outside as much as we used to be. When I was a kid, and you were a kid, it depends how old you are, you'd go outside after school every day. You'd play, you'd run, you'd jerk around, you'd have gym class outside. You couldn't wait to have gym class outside. So we were outside a lot more than we are today. We had nothing to do inside. You came home, did your homework, went out and played. So we're inside a lot more, and older Americans especially don't get out much at all. So vitamin D comes from two places. Sunlight, which interacts with your skin, with your cholesterol in your skin, and creates vitamin D, or taking it as a supplement. Most people do well by taking it as a supplement because we're just not outside enough. So it's not known, it's been known for a long time that vitamin D is necessary for healthy bones, but it also has something called epigenetic regulatory effects. What the heck does that mean? Genetics is what in your body. 25% of your health comes from your genetics. 75% comes from something called epigenetics, outside of your genetics. And it has an effect on the genes, your intestine, your pancreas, your prostate, your immune system. It affects so many different things, brain function. So vitamin D, every day it seems like I'm reading a new research project on it, a new research paper. It can, numerous diseases plays a role in: cancer, diabetes, respiratory tract infection, chronic inflammatory diseases, autoimmune diseases like multiple sclerosis. Vitamin D is the cheapest insurance policy you'll ever buy. Now, to ward off infection, it's recommended the minimum blood level is 40 nanograms per milliliter. That's what you get. That you go to your blood doctor, you 40 nanograms, you're fine. I suggest you go to about 60 to 80 nanograms per milliliter. At that level, we're really seeing a dramatic change in your immune system. Single most important method of vitamin D getting it is, of course, daylight, sunlight. You want to get it around 1 o'clock in the afternoon. That's when the UVB rays are going to be the most intense. Just be careful not to burn. Now, people talk a lot about, getting burned, and it's an issue. Most of the time that people have the severe burns, it comes from too much linolenic acid. We did a show on this the other day, omega-6 fatty acids. You're eating bad foods. You're eating soybean oil, corn oil, cottonseed oil. You wouldn't eat a cottonseed. Why would you eat their oil? Canola oils. These are very high in omega-6 fatty acids, peanut oil. And omega-6 fatty acids, when they get into the body, your body has a tendency to burn more and worse than if you have higher omega-3 levels, or at least the same amount of omega-3 to omega-6s. A 1-to-1 ratio would be perfect. So sun regulation, exposure is important, but you really want to get out of the sun. The most important thing you can do is be in the sun for about 20 minutes a day until your skin turns a little pink. And then at that point, you've probably got enough sun for the day. Cover up. And if you've ever been to the Caribbean, you've ever been to Africa, you've ever been to the Middle East, they don't walk around with sunscreen on every day. They live in a desert. How do they do it? They cover up. They wear turbans. They wear big hats. They wear long, flowing white clothes. So the best thing to do is cover up, but get about 20 minutes of exposure every day, then cover up after that. Now, the vitamin D levels can increase melatonin in your mitochondria. Now, melatonin helps you sleep, but melatonin, when it gets into the mitochondria, that's a part of the cell that produces energy, actually has a positive effect. It decreases oxidative stress, and it increases energy production. So it does so many different things. Now, if you can't reach your minimum 40 nanograms per milliliter in the sun, then I do recommend supplementation. I personally take 5,000 international units of vitamin D every day. Now, if you go to our website, drjoe.com, we have a supplement there. It's called Dr. Joe's Vitamin D. And I take 5 drops of vitamin D every day. Now, you've heard me talk about this many times if you're a regular listener, so bear with me because we have new listeners, thousands of new listeners every time we do a show. I got to cover things we have covered in the past. If you're taking D3, make sure it has vitamin K2 with it. Vitamin D3, one of the things it does is helps you absorb calcium. Vitamin K2, which we'll talk about a little later, prevents the calcium from building up in your blood vessels and drives it into the bones. So a D3 supplement, I feel, should have vitamin K2 in it. Again, we're going to talk about that a little later. But ours has it in there. And it's 5 drops a day. It's crazy inexpensive. And I can't imagine why you're not doing that every single day. Now, it also can help metabolize vitamin A. And vitamin A helps with vision, but also helps your immune system. So there's multiple different pathways that this vitamin D works. So if you have zero sun exposure to significant areas of your bare skin, at least your face, your arms, your legs, part of your chest, as most people don't have significant sun exposure, research shows that you can take up to 9,600 international units a day to reach that minimum 40 grams per milliliter. I'm okay with 5,000 a day if you take it every day. And that's why I like to spread it out. Sometimes doctors will prescribe you vitamin D, and they're going to give you 50,000 international units to take once a week. 2 things wrong with that. Number one, it's vitamin D2, which has to be converted into vitamin D3. I'd rather you take the form that's already converted in case you have a problem doing a conversion. Number 2, you're taking too much of it at once. You can only absorb so much of anything, even water. So if you're taking that much, I don't believe you're absorbing it as well. And they never recommend vitamin K2 with it. So 3 things wrong with that. So Dr. Joe's vitamin D3 with K2 is what I recommend. Your doctor can argue with me if they want to, but I don't lose my arguments when it comes to natural health. Only way to gauge whether you need a supplement or not is to get tested. You can do it twice a year, early spring, after winter, and then early fall, just to measure that's a high peak and a low peak of where your vitamin D would be. Vitamin D supplementation must be balanced with other nutrients. We talked about vitamin K2, calcium, magnesium. So it's not something you just want to willy-nilly take. You want to make sure you're doing it as part of a nutritional protocol. And that's what we talk about all the time. People say every day I get questions, Dr. Joe, what one supplement can I take for energy? What one supplement can I take for prostate issues? It's a protocol. There's one thing that's probably going to stand out as the primary, but you want to make sure you get a good diet. The minimum supplements I suggest everybody take, just as your core, would be Dr. Joe's Super Greens and Dr. Joe's Essential Source. They're 2 powders. They taste great. You mix them together. I do a little almond milk or coconut milk, whatever on sale that week. I'll mix it up, just shake it up and drink it. In the summer, I like to take a frozen banana and throw it in there, make like an ice cream in the morning. So I start my day with ice cream, which is pretty cool. So there's a lot of neat things that you can do to get these in your body. But folks, like the old song by Oleta Adams said, I don't care how you get here. Just get here. Get the Super Greens, the Essential Source, in the body. I take it first thing in the morning because it gives me energy, and also I don't forget. I have patients, they want me to put together a supplement protocol. 99% of the patients do what we say. Every now and then I'll say to somebody a month or 2 later, hey, how you doing with your supplements? Oh, I haven't even opened them yet. Okay. They don't work if they're just in a bottle. They have to be put in your body. And say, yeah, I know, doc, but I keep forgetting. Okay, first thing in the morning, put it out on the counter, and that's the first thing you see. And then take your supplements, get on with your day. And after about 3 or 4 days of doing it, it becomes a habit, and then you can't not do it. It just is what it is. So supplements, vital, Super Greens and Essential Source, minimum supplements. We talked earlier about having the nervous system work too. We have to have a normally functioning nervous system, normally functioning digestive system, and good nutrition. I thought I was clear on this, and I think I'm clear on it. But every now and then a patient will come in and they'll say, Dr. Joe, I listen to your podcast, I listen to your radio shows, I watch your videos, I subscribe to your YouTube channel at Dr. Joe Esposito, and I'm your biggest fan. And I've listened to everything you do. I said, great. And then I explained the nervous system, and they said, oh, I don't know that. So let me make sure I'm clear on this. The way the body works is your brain sends messages down the spine, out the nerves to every cell in the body. So the communication has to be open between the brain and the body and back up. 2 things can interfere with this flow of energy, chemical or physical. Now, chemical would be food, drugs, alcohol, environmental toxins. That's why we do a nutritional workup on all of our patients, because we want to get the best results possible in the fastest amount of time for the least amount of money. Some people fight us. very few, but every now and then somebody knows more than I do. And they'll say, I don't want to do that. All right, then don't. Okay, I'm not here to argue with you. This is it. This is what I can tell you is what I know works. So we get them on a nutritional protocol, and that helps the chemical aspects. But physically, if a bone moves out of place, it can pinch a nerve. Now, if you pinch a nerve, it hurts, but 90% of your nerves don't feel pain. So you can have a pinched nerve and not know it. So my doctors are all trained by me to test the nerves that feel pain and test the nerves that don't feel pain. So we want to get to the cause of the problem, not just treat the symptoms, not just pain, but function. So if you have a health issue, neck pain, back pain, shoulder pain, headaches, numbness, tingling, muscle weakness, come see us. Stop suffering needlessly. In the Atlanta area, we have offices in Marietta, Duluth, Stockbridge, and West Cobb. We can usually get you an appointment within 24 to 48 hours on business days. We accept almost every insurance out there. If you don't have insurance, we have care credit, we have financing. Chiropractic is the most effective, least expensive treatment for pain. So just make an appointment right away. If you're ever in a car accident, if the car's damaged, you're damaged. That's what I've seen in my experience. Please, as soon as you're in an accident, call us right away. There are so many scammers right now. You'll get calls from the insurance company, from your attorney's office, from the insurance commissioner, whatever other lies I've heard. No one will call you to tell you to go see a doctor or a lawyer, ever. If anyone ever does, it's a scam. So don't be scammed. Your health care is on the line. Doctors make a lot of money. Attorneys make a lot of money on you, and your health care is then compromised if you're not giving the quality care that you need. So if you want to come see us, and we don't do any of that stuff, drjoe.com. You can book an appointment right now. First visit for most people, normally $712. We've reduced that to $299. Exam, x-rays, consultation, first treatment, going over the x-rays, and a complete nutrition evaluation. The x-rays alone are more than $299. Nutrition evaluation alone is going to cost you around that. So just come see us. Let's make an appointment. Let's get you under care. Do what we say. Treatment is only a few weeks in most cases. Just do what we say. drjoe.com. Stop suffering needlessly. So we're talking today about nutritional deficiencies. And magnesium is another one that's huge because most people don't eat the foods that have magnesium in it, which would be what? Fruits and vegetables, nuts and seeds. It's estimated that more than half the U.S. population may not be consuming enough magnesium. The primary role of minerals is to act as cofactors for enzymes, and that's just the bare minimum. So what does that mean? Enzymes are the missing link in many cases when it comes to nutrients. You're a sack of chemicals. That's all you are. We can break you down. You can look it up online. They have a breakdown of all the chemicals that your body's made up and how much you're worth. Most people, if we sell you for scrap, are worth, I don't know, $60, $70. That's all you are. That's all you're worth in scrap. But when enzymes come along, they interact with these chemicals and they make the chemicals come alive. They make cells and nerve tissue and eyes and hair. And magnesium works with the enzymes to make everything else come together. Most of us are magnesium deficient. They literally are the shields against oxidative stress. Oxidative stress are like Pac-Man. Attacking you, waka, waka, waka. Attacking you and breaking down your body. So they can prevent against oxidative stress as well. And they make up your antioxidant enzymes. Remember, we talked about enzymes. The enzymes help produce and activate something called ATP, which helps produce DNA. So literally every function of your body is dependent on some way in minerals. Now, ATP is the energy. It's the gasoline for your car. DNA is your genetics. It's what every cell is made out of, and it tells the cell what to do. It tells the cell that you have blue eyes and I have brown eyes and somebody else has hair and somebody else goes bald and somebody's short and somebody's tall. Every aspect of your body is directed by the DNA. So you need the enzyme, you need the magnesium to help the enzymes to help produce the DNA and make the DNA work so that you're healthy. Magnesium is so key. Your levels of these powerful antioxidants are so important, like glutathione. You may have heard me talk about glutathione. Glutathione is directly dependent on magnesium status. Now, glutathione is the master antioxidant. Whenever somebody talks about skin issues, liver issues, digestive issues, got to get the glutathione into the system to help the liver repair. Magnesium, which is required for the conversion of vitamin D, remember vitamin D, into its active form, works with vitamin D, and it's important to ensure you're properly utilizing your vitamin D, so you need magnesium to make the vitamin D work. Nothing is an island in your body. Nothing is unto itself. Now, you need about 150 milligrams to 180 milligrams per day to prevent deficiency. Again, it's a difference between preventing deficiency and optimum health. You need about 600 milligrams a day for optimum health. Now, the recommended daily allowance is around 310 to 400. So, again, barely enough to survive versus thriving. And I want to get you to that thriving level, which is really important to me. Investigations on macro and micronutrient supply from the former hunter-gatherer societies, back when we were cavemen, so to speak, showed magnesium intake was very high. Now our magnesium level is very low. Why? Because they ate a lot of fruits and vegetables and nuts and seeds. So where do we get magnesium from? Well, how about green leafy vegetables? That's a great source. If you juice your greens, better still. Because what happens is the vegetables have a cell wall called cellulose. You need an enzyme called cellulase to break down the cellulose. We as humans don't produce cellulase. So in order to get the nutrients out of a vegetable, we have to do one of two things. One, we have to burst open the cell wall by chewing it or juicing it. Or number two is we heat it. When we heat it, the water boils inside the cell and the cell wall bursts open. If you heat it, you destroy some of the enzymes. So that's why it's really important to chew your food. And if you can juice your vegetables, even better. I'm going to be honest with you, it's a lot of work. I have a juicer. I use it periodically. But the bottom line is eating a lot of fruits and vegetables. Now, if you take things like Dr. Joe's Essential Source, we take fruits and vegetables, juice it, take the water out at a very low temperature, and what's left is a powder. So that's fruits and vegetables in a powder form. And it's cooled at a very low temperature, it's dried at a very low temperature, so the enzymes are still active. So that's another reason why I take Essential Source every day, because if you don't chew your food properly, if you don't cook all your food and destroy some of the nutrients by freeing up other ones, Essential Source really solves that problem for you. Another reason to take it. So if your magnesium levels are low, it would be really wise to supplement, and just taking Super Greens and Essential Source every day really is just a great form of getting it done. And that's another benefit to taking high-quality supplements. My German grandfather taught me years ago. He said, Josef, which is Joseph in German, always buy the best. It's always cheaper. And he was very poor, came to America during World War II as a German, didn't speak English. Not the best place for a German to be in America when we're fighting World War II. And he was a master carpenter. And he had some tools. Very few tools, but every one of them was polished and sharpened and hung up to dry and oiled. And he made beautiful woodwork. Unbelievable. Such craftsmanship. I didn't realize how amazing it was until I became an adult. So always buy the best. It's always cheaper. And that's why the supplements on our website, drjoe.com, I've vetted every one of them. These are the ones I take every single day. And so if you go to the website, there's a lot of information about the supplements. You can pick and choose which ones you want. If you have any questions, you could send them to me through my website, drjoe.com. I'm happy to answer any questions you have. Make an appointment to come see us, drjoe.com. In the Atlanta area, we have offices in Marietta, Duluth, Stockbridge, and West Cobb. And do me a favor, follow us on social media. We got a lot more to come. Don't worry, we're not done yet. At Dr. Joe Esposito is my handle. Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, LinkedIn. We're even on LinkedIn now. Follow us because we post a lot of good information. Every day we're posting. And we've given away concert tickets, live lecture tickets. We give away a lot of stuff. So we lure you. No secret. We're luring you to follow us because there's a lot of benefits to follow us on social media at Dr. Joe Esposito. The website, drjoe.com. Over 3,000 hours of podcasts. And if you're a podcast junkie, go to your podcast service and type in Dr. Joe for the health of it. Hey folks, Dr. Joe Esposito here. We're talking today about nutritional deficiencies. Now, most of you are going to have some or a lot of nutritional deficiencies. And the cool part is they are so easy to correct. And it's so ignored in healthcare, sick care profession. And the reason it's ignored is, number one, it's so darn cheap to fix. We can't prescribe these things. You can only get them over the counter because they're natural. You can't put a patent on them. So there's no money to be made in this. And then also the doctors are not trained in this. I'm not trained in surgery. I've been studying biochemistry, neurophysiology 40 years now. Very few people, and this is not I'm going to blow my own horn at this point, have a fraction of the dedication that I have to continuing learning. Most people, once they got their job, they're done. Even doctors. I got my job. I go one day a year. I get, a couple hours of continuing education. I move on. I study every single day. There's not a day that goes by that I'm not researching how I can better serve myself, but how we can better serve you as well as patients. So that's why this information, people say, well, Dr. Joe, my doctor never told me any of this. Well, your doctor doesn't know it. It's not their job. It's my job. So I don't know how to fix a car engine. I got some basic knowledge of it, but I go to an expert. So even if a doctor has some basic knowledge of nutrition, many times they send you to our office and we check the nervous system, the digestive system, and the diet to try to get the best results we possibly can for you, because that's my goal. Most doctors' goal should be too, get the best results for their patients. Some doctors don't like referring. They're afraid they're going to lose the patient. Some doctors don't know that they need to refer. There's a few doctors even out there who's never even heard of us. Can't imagine that. But there are a few out there. And that's why patients many times will go to the doctor and say, listen, I know you were treating me for this for so many years. We went to go see Dr. Joe's team of doctors, and now my blood work's better. My arthritis is better. My vision is better, whatever it is. And the answer is always the same. Whatever you're doing, just keep doing it. If it's working, just keep doing it. Doctors don't argue with us. You see results. You can't argue with results. So they say, whatever you're doing, just keep doing it. Many times the doctors will call me and talk to me personally, and I'll explain to them the protocol we put for each individual patient. And they're like, Doc, I never heard any of this stuff, man. This is great. I love it. A lot of them become patients too. So let's keep talking about nutritional deficiencies. If you like what you're hearing, by the way, on your podcast service, just type in Dr. Joe for the health of it. And we have over 3,000. Well, on that service, we only have a couple of thousand hours, I think, of podcasts. On our website, drjoe.com, we have about 3,000 hours of podcasts. So whatever you're looking for, type what you're looking for in the search bar, and chances are we've done a show, a podcast, an article, a blog on it. And if not, you could always send us questions through the website. I'm happy to answer them for you, drjoe.com. All right, so earlier we talked about vitamin D3 and how important vitamin D3 is for so many different things, but it works well with vitamin K2. Two types of vitamin K. Phylloquinone, that's vitamin K1, and the other one is vitamin K2. Vitamin K2 is known for its role in bone health and heart health. Now, where do we get vitamin K2, aside from supplements? Well, if you're going to eat animal products, what do I always tell you? Organic only. So if an animal is organic grass-fed, meat, eggs, liver, dairy, you're going to get some vitamin K2. I wouldn't recommend you use that as your source of vitamin K2 because of all the negative effects that animal products have. So, yeah, it's a source of K2. The negative effects, in my opinion, far outweigh the positive effects. Now, you can also get it from certain fermented foods, things like sauerkraut, certain cheeses, fermented soy called natto. I'm going to be honest with you. I like eating healthy. I like eating new foods. I tried natto once. It was nasty. Oh, man, it tastes like bad, rotten feet with cheese stuck in between the toes. I mean, it was just awful. So I'm not a fan of natto, by the way. Most Americans don't consume fermented foods. Like Germans will sauerkraut, and Koreans will eat kimchi, and fermented vegetables are very popular in the Orient. But in America, we don't eat a lot of fermented vegetables. And if you do eat sauerkraut, it's usually pasteurized on a hot dog. So that's not the best kind. So one of the reasons why K2 is so important for your heart health, it has to do with complex biochemistry involved with enzymes. Remember enzymes? We talk about them. They're my favorite supplement out there. The enzyme called matrix GLA protein. It's found in your cardiovascular system. And osteocalcin, which is found in your bones. Don't worry about the big words. I'm going somewhere with this. The GLA protein, GLA stands for glutamic acid, and it binds to calcium in the cells in your arterial wall, and it removes it from the blood vessels. So like I said, vitamin D3 helps you absorb the calcium. K2 helps take it out of your blood vessels and bring it into the bones. Once removed from your blood vessel lining, the K2 then facilitates the integration of that calcium into your bone matrix by handing it over to something called osteocalcin, which then turns it into cement, basically, to make your bones hard. So the K2 kind of is an escort, kind of carries it through the whole system. Now, K2 activates these two proteins. So without it, the transfer process from calcium from your arteries to your bones cannot occur, which raises the risk of arterial calcification. In fact, one study, those who had the highest amount of K2 were 52% less likely to experience calcification of their arteries and 57% less likely to die from heart disease over a 7 to 10 year period. They studied them. If I had a pill and I say, all right, this pill, 57% reduction in dying of heart disease, and I could put a patent on that pill, I'd sell a lot of those pills. That's pretty high, 57%. It's not as high as I'd like it to be, 100%, but it's still pretty good. So there is no pill that does that, but there is something called vitamin K2, which you can't put a patent on because it naturally occurs. So there you have it. And it's way cheaper than any prescription out there. So K2 also works in tandem with D3 and magnesium. We just talked about magnesium. Unfortunately, there's no easy way to screen for K2 deficiencies. So K2 cannot presently be measured in any way directly. So what you need to do is just make sure if you're doing vitamin D3, you do K2. If you're eating a lot of fermented vegetables, probably not that big a deal. Most people aren't, and so that's why I add the vitamin K2 to my vitamin D3. And when you take 5 drops of vitamin D3 every day, like I suggest you do, in most cases, that's going to solve the K2 issue, and that also helps clean out those arteries. So as a general rule, if you have osteoporosis, heart disease, diabetes, you're likely deficient in vitamin K2. Let me say that again. If you have osteoporosis, heart disease, diabetes, you're likely deficient in vitamin K2. Anyone ever tell you that before? Probably not. It's also believed the vast majority of people are in fact deficient and would benefit from more vitamin K2, which you can achieve by eating fermented fruits and vegetables or taking a supplement. And that's what I suggest, because you can also get it from cheeses like Brie, Munster, Gouda. I don't recommend that. Grass-fed animal products like egg yolks, liver, butter, and dairy. I don't recommend that. So I recommend you do it the smart way and just take it as a healthy version in a supplement form. Okay? Or if you're eating more fermented fruits and vegetables, absolutely. Most of us don't do that. I don't do that. I like kimchi. I like sauerkraut. It's just not part of my dietary protocol every day. Should it be? Probably. But it's not. And so I solved that problem by just taking Dr. Joe's D3 with K2. Another deficiency that people have is vitamin B12. Just had a patient in the other day, nice looking lady, good shape, very intelligent. She has something called pernicious anemia. My doctors have no idea what to do about it, she said. I don't know what to do about it. I'm desperate. I come to you. I come to you, Godfather. So, and I said to her, that was my really bad imitation of Marlon Brando. So she comes to me, and I said, well, you absorb vitamin B12 through something in your stomach called intrinsic factor. An intrinsic factor is produced in your stomach. It hooks onto the B12, carries it into your small intestine, where it gets absorbed and utilized. If you're not producing the right amount of intrinsic factor, you can't absorb your B12, and B12 prevents the red blood cells from forming properly, and that's called pernicious anemia. So what do we do about that? Well, I tested her, and her stomach was pushed up against her diaphragm. So she had acid reflux, heartburn, burping, gas, bloating. So she said, I've had that forever, and I take medication for it to neutralize my stomach acid. Well, one of the things the medication does is it prevents your intrinsic factor from working properly. So calcium, B12, iron, and magnesium are 4 supplements that are oftentimes not absorbed, even if you're eating them, if you're taking medication for acid reflux. And she looked at me, and I looked at her, and she smiled, and she said, that's the first time anyone's ever made sense regarding my condition. So I told her if the stomach is up against the diaphragm, we can actually physically pull the stomach down away from the diaphragm, and then hopefully that solves the acid reflux, so hopefully she won't have to take the medication. And she looked at me and said, Doc, whatever you say, man, this is finally making sense to me. So we checked her. Sure enough, she had the stomach up against the diaphragm. I only treated her once so far, but now we have a plan of action. Most people don't have a plan of action. Most people have health insurance, but they don't have a health plan. So for her, within 3 minutes, we put together a plan of action. Fix the stomach, get her on some digestive enzymes, get her on a B complex with vitamin B12 in it, get her on some probiotics so the colon works more efficiently, open up the nerve supply from the spine to her digestive system, and let's see what happens. Now, can I promise her results? No. The chances are very high she's going to get better. Yeah, really high. So why didn't every doctor do that she'd seen so far? They're not trained in this. They don't know how to follow the path. Now, I'm not trained in surgery. I'm not trained in doing eye exams. I'm not trained in doing prostate exams. So I don't do them. I let the other doctors who are experts in that field do it. Come to us and my team of doctors when you want to get well. Okay, not just treat a symptom, but actually get to the cause. So if you'd like to make an appointment, whether you have neck pain, back pain, shoulder pain, digestive issues, nutritional issues, just do it now. Stop wasting your time. drjoe.com. In the Atlanta area, we have offices in Marietta, Duluth, Stockbridge, and West Cobb. We would love to have the opportunity to get you under our treatment. Now, we don't accept every patient. We only accept the ones we think we can help. It's rare that we don't accept a patient, but periodically there's a case that we don't know what it is. Had one come in last week, and Dr. Amy, she works in our Marietta office and our Stockbridge office. She calls me up and she says, bring up this patient's x-rays. And she gave me the patient's name. And we're looking at it, and there's this big spot on his sacrum, his tailbone. And she goes, if it was a woman, I'd say it's a fibroid tumor, but it's not. What do you think it is? So I looked at the side view, looked at the front view. I couldn't figure it out. I said, it might be a pilonidal cyst. It might be a growth on his sacrum. I'm not sure. Let's send it out to a radiologist and get this one read. 99.9% of the x-rays I can figure out. Every now and then I get stumped. I turn it over to the experts. So we'll wait for the report to come back. It doesn't look like it's anything bad, which is good. So if you have a health issue and your other doctors aren't getting you the results or the questions answered that you want, come see us. Normally the first visit is $712. We've reduced that for my listeners to $299. That's exam, x-rays, consultation, first treatment, going over the x-rays, a complete nutrition evaluation on your second visit. The x-rays alone are going to cost you more than $299. So stop wasting time, stop wasting money in most cases. Come see us and let's see if we can work with your doctors, complementary care, or if it's something that hopefully we can resolve altogether. Or maybe it's not. What do you got to lose? You've got everything to gain and nothing to lose. So go to the website, drjoe.com. You can book it right online. You can call us. We accept almost every insurance out there. Medicare, Ambetter. If the VA sends you to our office, the VA pays for your treatment. I can't make it easier to be a patient with us. But just do what we say. And please show up for your appointments. Because if you make an appointment, we're reserving a room. We're reserving a doctor. We're reserving staff members. And if you don't show up, you took that away from somebody else. We're really busy. And it's not fair you took that away from somebody else and adversely affected their health. You wouldn't go up to somebody and slap them in the head. That adversely affect their health. Not showing up adversely affects their health because somebody else could have had that appointment. drjoe.com. We'd love to have the opportunity to come see us, and we'd love to have the opportunity to work with us. And if you're ever in a car accident, folks, if the car's damaged, you're damaged. I've never seen it any other way. You need to come see us right away. Don't waste time. Don't fall for these scam phone calls. Oh, come see this doctor, come see that attorney. That will never happen legitimately. Where somebody calls you and says you need to go see this doctor. Never happens legitimately. It's always a scam. So come see us. I teach other doctors how to deal with car accidents all around the world. So we'd love the opportunity to work with you. drjoe.com. B12, another supplement we're deficient in. We kind of got into that with pernicious anemia. Now, it's water-soluble. It's also known as cobalamin, and it plays a role in a lot of biochemical reactions and neurological functions in your body, including DNA synthesis, and make sure the cells form. Your body can't make B12 on its own, so it has to obtain it from your diet or from supplementation. Now, we talked about intrinsic factor, pernicious anemia. You're not producing intrinsic factor. If your digestive system isn't working, you can't absorb the B12. So, as a chiropractor and a pain management specialist, patients come to us all the time with pain, and we want to get them on a nutrition protocol because what if their pain is being not only caused by a pinched nerve, but being exacerbated by the fact that they don't have enough B12? So no matter how good treatment I give them, they're not going to get the results they want because they don't have enough B12. That's just a simple example of why it's important to integrate multiple forms of treatment. not just a thing. There is no a treatment for anything. Even if you have surgery, or you have a ruptured disc, you have a tumor, surgery is the treatment, but let's integrate getting you healthy going into the surgery. Let's integrate getting you healthy coming out of the surgery so you heal faster, more efficiently. So I don't believe there's any one healthcare form that stands alone. It all works together. Physical therapy. We see a lot of physical therapy patients, and I just had one the other day, big, brawny military fella, and physical therapy helped a little bit, but it wasn't just getting the results that he wanted because the bones were out of place. Bones were out of place in physical therapy, were causing the bones to rub up against each other. Once you set the bones back in place, now you're building up strong muscles around straight bones as opposed to strong muscles around crooked bones. Not hard to figure that one out. So we work together with physical therapists. We work together with surgeons. We work together with psychiatrists to try to get the best results possible. Dermatologists, they come in, patients come in with skin conditions. They might treat them with medication or topicals, but we never get to the cause of the problem, which many times is a liver issue. Fix the liver, the skin clears up in many cases. So why not come see us, drjoe.com. All right, B12. Deficiency is serious and can lead to a lot of changes, including personality disturbances, irritability, depression, wide range of symptoms, including joint pain, pins and needles, numbness, shortness of breath. I see TV commercials. We treat neuropathy. Do you give them B12 to go with it? No. You should. It's been suggested nearly 2/5 of Americans are lower than ideal B12, 9% deficient, and 12% below 185, the level that we measure it at, which is considered marginally deficient. Now, vegetarians and vegans, I'm going to knock my own lifestyle here, are susceptible to B12 deficiency because it comes from animal products, but even meat eaters can be deficient, and many times the problem is absorption. So I haven't had any animal products in 35 years. It's my lifestyle. I think it's the best lifestyle there is. I've had many people try to convince me otherwise. No one's even come close. So until a better protocol comes out than being plant-based, I'm going to continue with this lifestyle. I don't ever see it getting any better than this, which is good. It's a good place to be. So I take Dr. Joe's Essential Source every day, which has B12 in it, along with other B vitamins, and I take Dr. Joe's B Complex. I want to make sure I'm getting all the B vitamins that I need. So I kind of add both in there. B12 is a very large molecule, so it has a hard time being absorbed. And if you're not producing the intrinsic factor again hooks onto it, carries it into the small intestine where it gets absorbed. If you're not doing that, or you're taking medications that are preventing it from happening, that could become a big issue. So B12 is tightly bound to proteins, and high acidity is required to break down the bond. So that's why you need good stomach acid. Some people may not have sufficient stomach acid to separate the B12 from the protein, and as we get older, we reduce our acidity in our stomach, and our ability to absorb vitamins decreases dramatically. So that's why many times if people have digestive issues, it's not that they have too much stomach acid, they actually have too little stomach acid. And we can pull the stomach away from the diaphragm. We can get them on supplements. We talked last week about taking apple cider vinegar or vinegar in general, but I like apple cider as the best, along with carbohydrates, and you absorb 40% less carbohydrates, less starch, less sugar. So the vinegar can actually help stabilize your blood sugar, but apple cider vinegar can actually stimulate the acid production in your stomach. So a little trick you can do is about a teaspoon to a tablespoon of apple cider vinegar every day. Now, I don't like apple cider vinegar. It's good for me. I take it sometimes, but I don't like it. I don't like tart things. I don't like a lot of lemon. Just thinking about it makes my mouth water. Other people suck on lemons, drives me nuts. I don't know how they do it. So apple cider vinegar, and I've told this story, I haven't told it in a while. My German grandmother, when she would make bean soup or split pea soup, she'd always, after it was cooked, she'd put a little bit of apple cider vinegar into it and then serve it to us. And just thinking about it's bringing back wonderful memories. And I remember asking her one day, I said, Nanny, how come we put apple cider vinegar I called it vinegar at the time, in the soup? And she says, I don't know. That's how we've always done it. Well, she knew how to do it. She didn't know why to do it. The why was that it was stimulating your stomach acids to help break down the proteins and freeing up the digestive enzymes so that you absorb more nutrients from the beans and you had less gas. They knew how, they didn't know why. And now we know why. So Nanny up in heaven right now, if you're listening, you are absolutely right. And science has proven that you were right, which is kind of cool. So apple cider vinegar can actually help stimulate, raise that stomach acid a little bit, and that can help break up the proteins that are bound to the B12 so it's easier to be absorbed. So if you're eating B12-rich foods, again, things like grass-fed beef, wild-caught rainbow trout, wild-caught sockeye salmon, I don't suggest you do that because there's negative aspects of eating all those things. So if you suspect you have a deficiency, a daily supplement is great. We put it in Dr. Joe's Essential Source. No reason not to do it that way. So that's how I get my B12 every day, and along with Dr. Joe's B complex. It gives you energy, helps the brain work more efficiently, and as we get older, it's harder to absorb. So there's two types. There's methylcobalamin and cyanocobalamin. Methylcobalamin occurs natural form and is more absorbed than cyanocobalamin. Now, cyanocobalamin has cyanide. Cyano is cyanide bound to it. So I recommend you do the methylcobalamin. And if you ever heard of it called methylization, it's how nutrients are broken down and utilized in the body and then builds tissue in the body. The methylcobalamin is a really good form. And that's the one that I'd recommend you do. If you're elderly, when I say elderly, over 40 years old, I recommend you take it on a daily basis, the methylcobalamin. So again, it's in Dr. Joe's Essential Source. It's in Dr. Joe's Super Green Essential Source, and it's also in Dr. Joe's B Complex. So why not take it? The nice part about B vitamins is this. If you take too much, you pee it out. They're relatively inexpensive, so it's a pretty low risk, high reward supplement to take. And if you're peeing it out, well, okay, maybe take a little less, but only one of the B vitamins is going to turn your pee orange or bright yellow. The other ones you don't even know if you're taking it. So that's why I just take it as a prophylactic measure, along with vitamin D3. It's a great prophylactic measure. Omega-3 fatty acids. I didn't cover nearly a fraction of what I wanted to cover. So I think next week I'm going to continue this topic because I got so much more to cover with nutrient deficiencies and what you need to do to fix them. So once again, I love when I have too much information to share with you guys. Now, please do me a favor. Follow us on social media at Dr. Joe Esposito. Please do that. Again, I'm luring you. We give giveaways and tickets and supplements and live events sometimes, private live events. So we gave out a ton of tickets to a live event the other day. So social media at Dr. Joe Esposito. If you're a podcast junkie, Dr. Joe for the health of it. Dr. Joe for the health of it on your podcast service. Hundreds of hours of podcasts there. On our website, we have over 3,000 hours of podcasts. Please follow us on, subscribe to our YouTube channel. We post our podcast on YouTube every week. So there's always new content out there. If you have any questions, send them to me through the website, drjoe.com. And our first visit normally is $712 for our listeners and their friends. We've reduced it to $299. Exam, x-rays, consultation, first treatment, going over the x-rays, and a complete nutrition evaluation. And we accept insurance. drjoe.com. Tell your friends about the show. We'll catch you next time.